Good evening, Dr. Yadav sir.
Very good evening, Dr. Singh, and good evening to all the participants. So can we start?
Because yes.
Your resource person has joined. So just a minute.
Recording in progress.
So very good evening to all the participants and welcome to this 5th day of 1 week online faculty development program, which is jointly organized by Amiruddaula Islamia Degree College and Science Tech Institute, Lucknow. So myself, Dr. Dilshad, welcome to all of you. So I hope you have enjoyed these last 4 days. So it's really a great privilege for us that our today's resource person, Dr. Vinit Kumar, has joined. So welcome you, sir. And thank you so much for giving your valuable time to our participants. So Dr. Vinit is currently working as assistant professor in the Department of Library and Information Science at by-Manraj Ambedkar Central University, Lucknow. He is a renowned, you can say that, academician, researcher, as well as eminent librarian. So thank you so much, sir, for being with us. And yeah, it's over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Dharmendra Yadav and Dr. S.K. Singh. Also, I can see him. Thank you. So the topic which was given to me by the organizers was on plagiarism and copyright and patents. So I will start my presentation. First, we will discuss about the nitty-gritties related to plagiarism and what it is and what is the impact that it can have on. Sir, what should be the language?
Sir, most of the participants are from North India, but we have so English will be, I think,
okay,
better because some of participants are from South India also.
Okay.
For them, English will be better.
Okay. So, so beginning with plagiarism, we will go forward and discuss about the aspects related to copyright, and in that mostly the focus will be that how these concepts are related with academics, how as academicians, because I can understand that it is a faculty development program. So all of you must be either either faculty member or aspiring research scholars from different universities, colleges, or persons conducting their research as freelancer also. So the aim of this whole talk will be to make you aware about what are the different aspects that are associated with these three points, that is plagiarism, copyright, and patents. So let me share the presentation. Visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay, thank you. Okay, so myself, Vinit Kumar, and I am an assistant professor in the Department of Library Information Science, School of Information Science and Technology, Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar University, Lucknow. And my email ID is given on this slide. You can note also, so that if in case you have any query, you can send it on this email ID. So starting with the presentation, the concept of plagiarism, how it is actually it is aligned with the academics. Basically, it comes under the broader heading that is called publishing ethics or academic honesty or publishing ethics or publishing research misconducts. So you must have heard about these concepts in the previous lectures in the this FDP also, the concept of authorship and how the order of authorship should be defined. What is gifted authorship? Then the conflict of interest. These are some of the points which I have mentioned that are related to the publishing ethics, or the different types of misconducts that happen in the academia. So basically what happens, like, academia is basically a kind of honest profession, which requires thinking honestly, which requires reporting the results honestly, conducting the experiments honestly, and it involves a lot of values. That is why this profession has been regarded highest regard in our society also. So as academician, it is our duty to fulfill all those values, to fulfill all those ethics, and to know about what are the different ethics associated with our profession. Every profession has some ethics. For example, if we go to a hospital, to a surgeon or a medical professional, they also have some kind of ethics associated with their profession. And those ethics are basically to help the patients, to help as a patient for us, so that we as a customer or we as a patient should not feel bad, or we should not be mistreated. So similarly, like every profession, academia also has some ethics involved. So some of the misconducts which happen, I will not go in detail, but like authorship, people, a lot of different kind of order of authorship, always a kind of debate whether who should be the first author, and whether to whom the authorship should be given. It differs discipline to discipline. For example, in sciences, it is tradition that if you contributed a little bit also, then you will get the authorship. But in social sciences, a substantial contribution should be there. So it depends, like in which discipline you are working. And there is a concept of gifted authorship also, like people put the name authors as a name without contributing anything. So such kind of acts are called as misconducts. Conflict of interest, like we have seen the Stanford list of authors. One of the authors was basically an employee of Scopus. So such kind of conflict of interest also we have seen. Then integrity of images. These days, a lot of scientific articles are retracted because of the reason that the images that they have put in the articles are basically morphed images. They are images which are not from actual experiments, but they are copies of different experiments conducted and already published in different other journals, journal articles. So there is a website called PubPeer. So it is an open peer reviewing website where the researchers discuss the articles that are published recently, and they also try to discuss what the findings and the kind of the kind of results reported by the study. And in that website, if you visit, you will see that a lot of articles have been questioned, questioned about the images integrity, like the images they have shared. So such kind of misconducts are also happening. Plagiarism is another aspect which we will deal in detail in this talk. Then there is a concept of data falsification. Fabrications means changing the data, or fabrications means manipulating the data so that for desired results. So that is again a kind of misconduct. So if your study has, if you for example, you have conducted some study and you got some results, so there is no need that if you're not getting positive results, you can also prove that there are negative results. So it is not like always you have to be positive. Research never says that the results will always in the positive direction. Similarly, there is some misconduct in the sense of data sharing. People are stealing data. Like for example, we have just seen in the COVID vaccine discovery, there were claims from the American scientists that Russian scientists have taken their data from the computers which they were using for storing their data. So that is again a kind of misconduct that is happening. Using appropriate statistical tests is another aspect. Like you might have learned about different kind of statistical tests. So to prove a particular test, we have to like to prove a particular hypothesis, we have to decide about a particular kind of test. So we have to see whether that test is appropriate or not. Using an inappropriate statistics or statistical test to prove something is also a kind of misconduct. Then duplication, submitting to 2 journals at a single time, submitting research papers or manuscript to 2 journals at a simultaneously at a time is also a kind of misconduct. Republishing conference papers without substantial changes to the paper is also comes under misconduct, that is duplication. And not acknowledging the funding agencies from which you have taken fund, or you have taken help and you are not acknowledging people from whom you have taken help is also a kind of misconduct that comes under research misconduct or academic misconduct. So there is a very good document released by University Grants Commission, and I will share the slides with you. You can I will share the slide with Dr. Dharmendra, then he can share with you. Then this document link is given in this slide. You can visit this, or you can search also on internet. University Grants Commission has released a guidance document. What are the good academic research practices? And in this document, they have discussed in detail, very detailed, and it was released in September 2020. And in this document, they have discussed in detail what are the good academic research practices, what kind of practices the academician should follow, what are the ethics that are involved. So you can visit this link. Now coming to the next topic, that is plagiarism. Plagiarism means that it is basically presenting the words, ideas, images, sounds, or other creative expressions of other as your own. It is just like you are presenting somebody else's words, somebody else's idea, images, or sounds, or any creative expression, and you are saying that it is your creation, you have created it. In that that is known as plagiarism. Basically, it is not a legal, but a kind of ethical violation of, or it's a kind of misconduct, plagiarism. So sometimes people say that it is a kind of theft. I do not call it as a theft, because what happens, theft means when you steal something. So actually, for example, in a property, what happens when you steal some property from somebody, that property is not with the original holder. But here what happens, the original holder is also having the same property. You are also having the same property. So we cannot call it as a theft, but people call it as a theft. So that is another aspect that you can see. So coming to the dictionary definition of what is plagiarism. So Merriam-Webster dictionary, it states this: to use the words or ideas of another person as if they were your own words or ideas. That is the one aspect. You use somebody else's words or ideas or of another person as if they were your own words or ideas. To steal and pass off ideas or words of another as one's own, or to use another's production without crediting source. Somebody's production you are using, but you are not crediting the source. You are not giving the proper attribution, proper citation. You are not giving the credit to the original person who has created the production. To commit literary theft, to present as new and original an idea or product derived from an existing source. So you are basically you are saying that it is a new and original idea, but actually it is derived from some existing source. That all comes under plagiarism. So some of the examples which we can see, understand: copying, pasting material from online resources is an example of plagiarism. Just copying something and pasting from online resource is an act of plagiarism. Getting a paper from web and submitting as your own, like word to word, you have just taken a something from internet and just submit as your own. It happens usually in the case of student assignments. So what happens, like student will download something from internet and submit as its own, as his or own. So that is again an example of plagiarism. and using another person's work and claiming it as your own. Using photographs, video, audio without acknowledgement. Somebody else photograph, somebody else video, audio without acknowledgement. This is very common, like what we see in these days, like everywhere. We see that we are not we are forgetting the tradition of giving credits. If you remember, you all might have heard radio songs. And earlier in AIR, All India Radio, or with Bharti, we used to listen songs on radio. So what used to, after every song, there will be some credits, and announcement will be there that who was the singer, from which movie it is taken. But these days, you see, nowadays, we do not get such kind of credits announced on radio. So the tradition of giving credit, the tradition of giving, like we on WhatsApp also, we see that a lot of quotes are there these days. People put quotes, good morning messages, or some motivational quote, but they don't give the credit from where that quote has been taken. So this is very common in our culture, that we are not giving these days the actual original person from who has given that particular quote. So this is like moving on, like a kind of becoming a culture in our society. So that is actually wrong. That it actually demotivates the original creator, and it demotivates original thinking also. It demotivates. It impacts learning also. You don't have to do anything; just take somebody else's work and quote it as your own. So that is like these all are some of the examples of plagiarism. It is not just like in academia we have plagiarism. There is the concept of plagiarism is very old, and in fact several authors have been penalized also, caught also plagiarizing content from others. And in creative industry, whenever there will be a good film released, always you will see somebody coming up saying that it was my idea and had shared this idea to some XYZ producer, and they have made movie out of this idea. So that is another kind of plagiarism. That is also a plagiarism. If you, it's not like it should be written only. If you see the definition, it is there, quoting somebody's idea, taking somebody idea also and quoting it as your own, that is plagiarism. So quoting a source without using quotation. You are quoting a source, but you are not using quotation. That is another example. Citing sources which you did not use. This is very common. So one of the interview I was attending with interaction meeting, I was attending with some experts. And one of the experts said that it was basically I was discussing a research project on citations. So he was saying that what is the guarantee that the people who have cited my books, they have actually read it. So he was right in the sense that people cite the resource sources which they do not actually go through, they do not check whether the content which they are citing is actually there in the original source or not. So that is again wrong, because why we are citing? We are giving attribute and helping the reader that if you want to verify the information which I am giving on my paper, you can verify by visiting this particular source. So if we are citing a source which we haven't used, haven't consulted, that is actually a misconduct, because it can happen that maybe that the source has no information in that regard. Not citing correct sources. Sometimes if you are not citing correct sources also, citing sometimes it is intentional also to cite and not cite correct sources, because people think that if they cite the correct sources, they will be caught. So that is another kind of plagiarism, using your own work without properly citing it. That is self-plagiarism. This also we will discuss, that even you cannot use your own work. So when I say that, the definition says that using somebody else's idea and quoting as your own is plagiarism. It doesn't mean that somebody else's idea, it doesn't mean that your own idea you can quote several times without citation. No, for your own idea also, if it is published, then you have to cite it again, cite it properly, given your own work. So once your work is published, it is you have to treat it as it is somebody else's work. Then hiring someone to write your paper, that is called ghost writing. This we have also seen many cases in PhD thesis. There are some shops in every city that they write PhD dissertation, PhD thesis, taking some money. So that is again a kind of ghost writing, a kind of plagiarism. And we should, we as a researcher, we should always be wary of these kind of people, because it will hamper our career also. Using others' data or research findings without citing. Somebody else's data we are taking and we are not citing it. Fabricating data is another example of plagiarism. Submitting computer program developed in whole or in part by someone else. Somebody else has developed the computer program and we are submitting as it is our own program. So these are some of the examples of plagiarism. So basically, we can say that it is this particular website, which link I have given. This website says that copying ideas or any part from source without proper citation acknowledgement is plagiarism. Paraphrasing content from source document without proper citation acknowledgement is plagiarism. And preparing summary based on set of sources without proper citation is plagiarism. So if either you are copying or you are paraphrasing means changing the words, changing the order of the words or the syntax, the sentence formation, but the idea is not changed. That is called paraphrasing. And summarizing also, if you are summarizing and you are not citing, then also it is plagiarism. So sometimes people have doubt, like they think that if we are copying somebody else's idea, somebody else's text, and we are giving citation, it is not plagiarism. No, it is plagiarism. If you are copying and also you are citing, then also it is plagiarism. You have to paraphrase it and then cite it. So what are the reasons why people plagiarize? What are the reasons that that cause people to go like they plagiarize? So first is lack of awareness about what constitutes plagiarism. This is one of the major reason that people plagiarize. Sometimes usually the early career researchers or professionals or the research scholars, they are not aware what is plagiarism and what constitute plagiarism. For example, if I ask some 100 research scholars about whether copying something and citing it is constitutes plagiarism, they will say no, I am citing it, so how it is plagiarized? But actually it is plagiarism. So we have to understand what are the aspects of what is plagiarism, what is not plagiarism. And lack of time planning is another factor. Usually we procrastinate, है ना, हम सोचते हैं कि आगे बाद में करेंगे and the deadline comes, and then we have to somehow submit the manuscript or book chapter or assignment. Then the easiest way is just to copy paste. Then fear of failure, confidence on own words and writing, because sometimes mostly for us the English is a second language, not primary language, and writing with confidence is a difficult task. And so this fear of failure is always there, that if I write in my own words or in my own writings, maybe the piece of writing will not be that much good. So means I do not have the confidence. So what I do, that I copy somebody else's work so confidently, so that at least it looks good. Then lack of knowledge about conducting research. That is another aspect. So maybe that is one of the motivation that you have joined this FDP. Like you want to conduct a better research. You want to learn how to do research. What are the different current trends that are happening in the research? So the lack of knowledge is another aspect. For example, if I ask somebody just joining as research scholar, as a master student to conduct a research, maybe he or she is not aware how to conduct research. So they will just copy somebody else's work and say that this is there. Like I see when I ask my students for master dissertation. So their first draft will always have a lot of content copied from different sources. And because they lack the skills, to write, how to write papers, how to write a research report, and other reasons are also there. Sometimes people plagiarize to influence others also, to show that I can write better, or see I can even write good paragraphs, good sentences, good results. Section laziness is another factor. We are lazy, and our brain is programmed like that. Always the brain says that go for lazy, like the save energy. The more energy you save, it is better. That is how our brain is programmed, and that causes laziness. So but we have to always be motivated, that always hard work yields better results. Competition, there are some colleagues pressure, people are publishing, your people are publishing and you're not publishing. Then the pressure to publish is there, for career advancement, for increments in salary, and for different requirements from the employer. So these are some of the pressure that cause people to plagiarize, so that they can produce the at least some research papers or some research output. Sometimes it is also that we do not understand the consequences. We are not aware what are the different penalties that are associated if we are caught, or if there is some problem, then what are the consequences. So that is another reason people think that it is okay, thinking that everybody does that and it is acceptable, है ना, सभी करते हैं तो हम भी कर सकते हैं. So no, सभी नहीं करते हैं, nobody, no, everybody is not doing it. So you are it is just your excuse that you think that no, everybody is doing it. It is not like that. So you have to you do not have to think in this direction that everybody does that it is acceptable. Sometimes we also assume that we will never be caught, पकड़े नहीं जाएंगे, and it is like never we assume that अभी हमारी thesis है, कौन देख रहा है. So it's not like that. 10 years, 18 years later also papers are retracted, people are penalized. So there are several cases and it happens. So we have to think that the document which you are producing will always be there. So we have to always be cautious. So do not understand what is plagiarism, that I have already discussed, lack of awareness about what is plagiarism. And one of the other reason is attitude and culture. So like maybe in our culture, it is very accepted to copy others. In fact, I see that copying somebody is a good skill as a learner. You know, for example, if mostly like if you love cooking, we see YouTube videos, you know, how they are cooking, and then we follow the recipe and then we also cook. So it is not it's not it's not misconduct. People don't call it like dekh ke banaya aapne, YouTube se dekh ke banaya. No, but for academia it is a different thing, you know. So for a culture, sometimes what happens in a culture, it is acceptable to copy others, to copy for every aspect. We copy, you know, if padosi ke paas ek bada TV aaya, so we should copy it. If they have a bigger car, we should copy it. So it is in our culture. But in academia, it's not like that. So it depends on the culture also. Just if you ask a student to prepare an essay, it is very easy for them to just copy it. So it is in our culture. In fact, from the school level also, we do not teach our students to write original. We give them assignment कि कल एक poem लेके आना, परसों एक essay लेके आना, and they go on, they search on internet and come up with an essay or some poem. They recite it on stage and people clap. That is our culture. We do not nurture original thinking. We do not nurture original writing. So that is why when the students come out and come to research, it is very a kind of a alien thing for them to understand the concept of plagiarism, because for every time for the classroom notes, for their question answer, for everywhere, for board examinations, they have just copied. They just took some portion from a book, learned it and written. That's it. So it is in their now in the habit to copy. So, and suddenly we ask them to write their own, they write something original. So it is difficult. So that is also one of the reasons for why people plagiarize. So what can be the impact? For individual, impacts is heavy. I would say that slowly it becomes a habit also. Once you enter in a cycle, vicious cycle, you start plagiarizing, and you can never come out if you don't try. Like why this talk is in this FDP, because it is an important aspect. Plagiarism is important aspect, and if it is your habit, if you are entered in a vicious cycle, you have to come out of it, because it impairs learning. Your learning will be impaired if everybody copy everybody else work. Then where is the original thinking that will come out? So that we have to think in that direction. Maybe the best brains in our society, in academia, are lost because they are just because they of their habit of copying others. They are not able to think original, है ना? In our culture it is there ना कि अगर principle of management अगर दिए है किसी author ने, so we just treat it as a godly words. We don't think any originality to bring out our own principle of management or our own theories, our own concepts. Just we take other concepts and we think that we are expert. So that is there. We have to bring in the culture of original thinking. So a lot of penalty, we will discuss what are the different penalty that are associated. In fact, for if you are caught in with plagiarism, it is actually in Western world, it is called academic death. Academic death means nobody will read your papers. Nobody will consider you as an expert. Nobody will ask your opinion. You will not be called for any of the seminar conferences as a chief guest, as a keynote speaker, or as a paper presenter. You will not be called on PhD examiner evaluation boards. So it is basically a kind of academic death. So if your content is you are caught as a plagiarized content. For organizations also, it is an important aspect. It impact organization also, as it decreases the value of the organization. For example, we have some like in newspapers, we usually read such kind of news that falan IIT के professor का plagiarism में पकड़ा गया, या DU के जो vice chancellor थे वो plagiarism में पकड़े गए. So it decreases value. People disregard. There is a loss of reputation. Sometimes it creates legal problems also. The funding agencies also start funding less. So there is impact for either the individual or the organizations. So that is why UGC has come up with some of the guidelines regarding plagiarism. This we will discuss later on in this talk. Then different types of plagiarism we can discuss. First is that is unintentional, accidental, or ignorance based plagiarism. Means you are not aware what is actually you are doing plagiarism. For example, careless paraphrasing. Careless paraphrasing means you are paraphrasing, but you are not citing it properly. You are using excessive quotes. So just day before yesterday, one of my acquaintance, he called me and he was asking, I have used several quotations, but still it is showing plagiarism. Because you cannot create your whole document based on quotations from other articles. Quotations have to be used sparingly. Thoda use karna hai. You cannot use like quotations excessively. Poor documentation, like you are not keeping your notes properly, building on someone else's idea without citation, using source too closely when paraphrasing, and failure to use your own voice. That is also one important aspect, that you have to use your own voice. Write the content in your own voice. What you think, what you're thinking, what is your thinking way, that you have to write, not how others have thought already. Then deliberate intentional plagiarism, copying from other sources without citing intentionally. Deliberately you are doing it. Buying, stealing, or borrowing a paper. Buying a paper, like paying somebody to write a paper, stealing. Copying a colleague's work or ideas. You are sitting with a colleague and he has shared that he is working on a particular topic or particular research area, and then you start copying someone like his work. That is again a kind of plagiarism. cutting and pasting blocks of text from electronic sources without citing, that also comes under this website. You can visit. It has other in more detail these points discussed. I have taken from this website. Then the concept of, there is another type of plagiarism that is called self-plagiarism. This we have also discussed. Submitting his or her own previous work as a whole or mixing parts of previous works and new works without citing previous work. So for your own works, you have to you're using your own works and you're in your new works, and you are not citing your old work. That comes under self-plagiarism. So in April 2020, UGC brought one document on self-plagiarism, and this document, a link I have given. It says, this document reads that reproduction in part or whole of one's own previously published work without adequate citation and proper acknowledgement, and claiming the most recent work as new and original for an academic advantage amounts to text recycling, also known as self-plagiarism, and is not acceptable. Which means that if you are using your own previously published work, the concept of published is here important, that which is already published, and you are in your new work, you are using it, but you are not acknowledging it. That a similar study you have already done in this year, you have to acknowledge it. You have to tell the readers that already this kind of study you have already published, and there is some important substantial change in the results. That's why you are again going to publish this new study. So this, if you are not, the results have not changed and nothing new has been done, then it is basically a kind of self-plagiarism. So self-plagiarism includes, the document again explains what is actually self-plagiarism. So republishing the same paper already published elsewhere without due and full citation. For example, you have published a paper as in a conference proceeding, and then after some 1 year, you again publish that paper, same paper, as a journal. So that is self-plagiarism. If you, as a journal article, you have sent it to journal article and it is published, and you in the journal article, you have not mentioned that this article has already been published in a conference proceeding held in this year or in this place. Then if you're not acknowledging, then it comes under self-plagiarism. Then publishing smaller accepted work from a longer and previous without due and full citation in order to show a large number of publications. So from a particular work, you are publishing several works, but you are not giving credit to the original work from where you have taken, or from where you have this is also known as salami publication. Means from a bigger chunk of data, you are trying to publish smaller thin slices of data as a different work. So that is also comes under self-plagiarism. Reusing data already published in a published work, used in a published work, or communicated for publication in another work without due and full citations. So you are using somebody else's work, not your own work or your own data that is already published, and you are trying to publish it in a different way. That is again a kind of self-plagiarism. Same data, but you are trying to publish in a different way. That is a self-plagiarism. Breaking up larger study into smaller sections and publishing them as altogether new work without due and full citation, that is again self-plagiarism. So in that case, what you will do? So you should tell that this is a part of a larger project which you have done, or a PhD level research which you had done, and what are the objectives of that work, and what is the difference in the objective of this work. So the difference should be visible, and you have to mention it in your methodology section also. And paraphrasing one's own previously published work without due and full citation of the original. So what happens, like writing the paper in the same area, right? So what you usually people do that for the introduction section, they will just use the introduction section of the previously published paper, thinking that it is their own work, so it is not, it doesn't come under the stealing, like stealing or theft. So because you cannot steal your own property, right? So similar way, it is like, because it is your own work, so you are not stealing it. So that is not correct. If you want to put the same ideas, you have to write a new introduction section for a new paper. So UGC has directed in this document that any such kind of self-citations will not add to the individual citation index or H index in global academia. Hence, Vice Chancellor, Selection Committee, Screening Committee, IQAC, and any experts that are involved in academic performance evaluation and assessments are strongly advised that their decisions in the case of promotion, selections, credit allotment, award of research degree must be based on an evaluation of applicants' published work to ensure that the work being submitted for promotion selection is not self-plagiarism. So it is, UGC has said that we, as a decision maker, the Vice Chancellor Selection Committee has to see whether the self-plagiarized, the author has the papers, self-plagiarized paper or not. So at this point, either I do not know whether I have time, but I want to show you two documents. So one YouTube video. Just if you just please confirm whether it is you can read the hear the audio or not.
What is plagiarism? Plagiarism is defined as...
Can you hear the audio? I guess okay.
representing the work of another as one's own, but this is kind of
So
vague,
in
and I
this
discovered
basically in this video, you will see that the creator has used an analogy with a car, and she has tried to put what different types of plagiarism.
that many students enter my class without having a real understanding of what it means to plagiarize. I found this explanation of plagiarism from the University of Arizona to be one of the most clear. According to the U of A website, there are basically three kinds of plagiarism. 1. Using another person's exact words without including quotation marks and citation. If you use someone else's exact words, then you must cite the original source, either in a footnote or in a citation in the text, and you must enclose the words in quotation marks or else set them off from the rest of the text by indenting them from the other text. Think about it this way. What if you didn't have a car but you needed one, so you just stole someone else's car and said that it was yours? That would be theft, plain and simple. Aren't you doing exactly the same if you steal someone else's words and use them verbatim as though they were your own? 2. Using another person's words but changing some of them or rearranging them. This is plagiarism even if the source is cited. In this case, you don't have a car, so you take someone else's, but you change the color or the hubcaps or put some racing stripes on it and say that it's your car. Isn't it still theft? A related type of plagiarism that I see quite often is patchwork plagiarism, where students copy or paraphrase from multiple sources. If you own a chop shop and you take stolen pieces from a number of different cars and put them together to make one vehicle, isn't the car stolen? 3. Summarizing or paraphrasing another person's words without citation. If you use what someone else has written, but you describe it or summarize it in your own words, then you don't need to enclose it in quotation marks, but you still must provide a citation to the original source, either in a footnote or directly in the text. This is probably one of my toughest challenges because students don't actually think that they're plagiarizing. I often have to pose the question, okay, which parts of this are your original ideas in writing? In other words, if you take away all of the parts of the car that were not your own, would there even be a car? Final note, it's not enough.
So this is the point, where the very important point. Like you have to think. Like sometimes people say that they have cited the sources, they have paraphrased it. So whether this is plagiarism or not. So you have to think like that. That if you remove all the ideas which you have taken from other, is there anything left? If yes, then it is not plagiarized. If no, it means that you are plagiarizing. There should be something that is original. while you are writing something.
To simply include a reference to the original source in your bibliography, citation of the original source means citing it where it appears in the text. Many of my students will list a source in the bibliography but not make proper citations in the text. Going back to the car example, if you steal someone else's car but you keep their registration with their name on it in the car while people believe that you own it, haven't you still stolen the car?
So this is one of the examples of this. I wanted to just show you another document which is also important document. This also I would like to show you. It's actually released by the Turnitin people who have developed the Turnitin software, and in their database, what they regard as types of research plagiarism. So this is this they have tagged from less serious to more serious kind of plagiarism, and we will discuss some of them, like the secondary source. Secondary source plagiarism happen when a researcher uses secondary source like a meta study, but only cites the primary source contained within the secondary one. Secondary source plagiarism not only fails to attribute the work of authors. Secondary source means actually, for example, if I have one article in which the article has cited somebody else's work, rather than going to the original work, I am citing the second article which has cited the previous article. I'm not going to the, I am not consulting the original article, but just taking it as a source, and I am citing that as the first article, but I have not gone through. So that is one kind of, and the commonness is 6.9 out of 10. So in their database, they have found that it is very common. 6.9 is like around 7. Similarly, misleading citation, fabrication, falsification is another example, but the commonness is less. Very few people misleading citation they have put. Then duplication, self-plagiarism or reuse. That is again a good number of people are doing. 6.3 means 63% people are doing it. Common, it is very common. And then paraphrasing. Paraphrasing means you are not citing the sources properly, and paraphrasing, changing the words. Okay, so that is again a kind of plagiarism, and it is also very common. You see 7.5/10. So people think that if we change the word, nowadays how people are thinking. People are thinking that we have to somehow hack the similarity matching software. And a similarity matching software means, like, for example, Authenticate or Turnitin or Orkun. These are some similarity matching software, and people are thinking in the way that rather than writing original, they are thinking in how we can hack, how we can make the system similarity matching software think that this document is not plagiarized. So we do not have to think in that way. Rather, I say that if you're writing a document by your own, there is no need to check that document through similarity checking software. You are the best evaluator. If you think that it is copied, and you know it is copied or not. So, but sometimes the software is required, for example, for a collaborative work where several other people are involved. So we are not sure whether you are sure about yourself only, but not about others. So maybe they have copied. So you need such kind of software. So repetitive research, self-plagiarism, reuse, replication, similar kind of results, similar kind of publications, but you are changing the little bit the topic or little bit abstract you have changed. So that is also under the comes under plagiarism. Misleading attributions, inaccurate authorship. Authors who are contributed have not given the insufficient list of authors who have contributed to the manuscript. That is again on the very less common, 4.8. Unethical collaborations, such kind of collaborations where the participants involved have not collaborated anything, but they have been involved, and using others' work without proper attribution is plagiarism. So that is another aspect. Then verbatim plagiarism, this is very less. You see, direct copy and paste, very few people are doing these days. Copying another words or work without proper attribution, just as it is, very few people, it is not so common, but it is serious. If you are doing it, it is serious. So it is a good trend that now people are aware and they are not copying verbatim as it is. Then complete plagiarism means just directly picking somebody else's work, changing the author name and submitting. That is also very less, like you see 2.3, but it is more serious. This is very serious kind of plagiarism. So there is a UGC regulation for plagiarism, and it says that its name is Promotion of Academic Integrity and Prevention of Plagiarism in Higher Education Institutions, Regulation 2018, and it was published in on 31st July 2018. I have put the link. From this link also you can download. It says that zero tolerance policy in core areas. So means there should be zero plagiarism in some areas. कौन से हैं? That it includes abstract, summary, hypothesis, observations, results, conclusion, and recommendations. So these are the core work. This is the core work for any article, for any thesis. These are the sections which should have zero tolerance, zero like similarity matching. So this is like the Plagiarism Disciplinary Authority of Higher Education Institute shall impose maximum penalty. Agar isme, if you found some kind of plagiarism in this, then there should be zero tolerance, either in the case of student, faculty, staff, and researcher. Sabke liye it applies. Then they have defined some levels of plagiarism in non-core areas. Non-core areas means, for example, methodology sections, the review of literature sections, the introduction section. These are all our non-core area sections. Means these sections do not involve your contribution. But if you see the previous sections like abstract, summary, hypothesis, observations, results, conclusions, and recommendations, these sections that involve the contribution of the author. So in these sections, there should be 0%, but the other non-core sections, there can be some level of, like, for example, similarities up to 10% is actually excluded, means it can be ignored. It is allowed as per the UGC regulations. And then there are level 1, 2, and 3 kind of plagiarism. Level 1 means there is a similarity of 10% to 40%. Level 2 means there is similarity of 40 to 60%, and level 3 means 60%. So it is increasing severity. And on the basis of this level of similarity, the penalty is defined. So in case of, for example, academic and research publication, in case of if you have level 0 similarity, means that is similarity up to 10%, then that is called minor similarities and there is no penalty involved. For level 1, similarities above 10%, the author shall be asked to withdraw the manuscript. For similarities above 40 to 60%, they shall be asked to withdraw manuscript, shall be denied a right to 1 annual increment, and shall not be allowed to be supervisor to any new master's, MPhil, PhD student for a period of 2 years. So you see the kind of penalty that UGC says that it has to be implemented. So we have to very sure, especially in the case of student work. If some of you are a faculty, you have to always be sure that whatever the students submit, it should be at least it should be less than 10%. Then level 3, similarity above 60%, shall be asked to withdraw manuscript, shall be denied a right to 2 successive annual increments, and shall not be allowed to be supervisor to any master for 3 years. So you see the penalty, kind of penalty there. And for repeated plagiarism, and the penalty is 1 level higher. For example, if you commit in the last time, if you committed the punishment, say for example, level 2, then if you commit the same kind of mistake, then you will get the punishment for level 3. So it also says that in case of level 3 offense is repeated, then the disciplinary action including suspension, termination as per service rule shall also be taken by the HEI. So there is a chance that even the suspension, termination can also happen as per UGC report. Then penalty in case where the benefit or credit has already been obtained. If the plagiarism is proved on a date later than the date of benefit or credit obtained as the case may be, then her benefit or credit shall be put in abeyance for a period recommended by IAIP and approved by the head of it. So the whatever, if the person has already taken the benefit, then the benefit or the credit shall be put in abeyance for a period of recommended by the IAIP. So how it has to be detected, reported, handled? The authorities of HEI can also take suo motu notice of an act of plagiarism and initiate proceeding. Means there need not to have any complaint against the person. The university or the HEI can directly take the action without any complaint. That is suo motu. Then upon receipt of such a complaint or allegation, the Departmental Academic Integrity Panel. So basically the regulation suggests that there should be a Departmental Academic Integrity Panel in every department, and it also lists the persons who will be in the like constituent member of this Academic Integrity Panel. And then first they have to investigate and submit the recommendation to there should be another body called Institutional Academic Integrity Panel. And that this body will be for the whole institution, for the whole university or for the whole institution. And the Departmental Academic Integrity Panel will submit its report recommendation to IAIP, and then this IAIP will decide what will be the action that has to be taken, final decision. So you see there is a website called retractionwatch.com. So if you visit this website lists a lot of research papers which are retracted and the reasons why the papers have been retracted. So in fact, there are some papers who are like 13-year-old paper which is retracted because the methodology that was used by the researcher was not correct, or the data that was used by researcher was not was falsified, or the image that was, like I was mentioning, the pub peer. So the reports of the pub peer has been basis for several journals to retract the articles. So what is actually retraction? Retraction means that the paper will be there on internet, but one label will be attached to that paper that this paper has been retracted. So, but the paper will still be there in the database, but there will be a retraction notice that is attached to that paper. So there are a lot of penalties that are involved with plagiarism, and as academician we have to be aware. So how to avoid plagiarism? This is an important aspect. Like we have known what is plagiarism and how what is plagiarism and why people plagiarize, and we also understood what are the penalties that are associated with plagiarism and how it can impact an individual and as well as an organization. Now coming to the aspect of how we can avoid it. So avoiding plagiarism means it involves a kind of workflow. It involves a kind of some habits we have to develop, like effective management of time. Like I mentioned, if you see the reasons of why we plagiarize, because sometimes we do not have time to prepare or to think original, to write something original. So why we do not have time? Because we cannot effectively manage the time. So the management of time, effective management of time is important. Then another aspect is developing good research skills. If you have a good research skills, there are very less chances that you will not have confidence. You will not have you will go to somebody and buy the research paper paying some money. Because you will have more confidence that you can conduct your own study. You do not have to go and buy the research papers from somebody else. So developing good research skills is another aspect, another important step that you can do to avoid plagiarism. Then note the dates, and note taking is another important, very important aspect when we do conduct the study. Always, I suggest my research scholars also that always keep a notebook with you. Always means always. If you are reading an article and you found something interested, you note it down. And you note the citation also, which author, which article, from where you have read it, so that tomorrow if because once you read an idea, it always stored in your brain, and some while writing you may not remember from where you have read that idea. And if you write it as it is, it seems that it is your own idea, but it is not. You have read it somewhere, but you cannot remember from where you have to, from which document you have read it. So the note taking is very important aspect. Always we have to keep a notebook as a researcher, also as a research scholar also. Always keep a notebook with you and note down the sources which you read. Allocate time, follow schedule accordingly, collect information, reading and taking notes, drawing in like to write a good article. You first write an outline how you are going to arrange, because this outline will be your own, and then prepare rough draft, prepare final draft, take extra time for the last spare some extra time for last minute changes if you need. So if you follow these steps, then there are very less chances that it will you will stuck in plagiarizing other work. Know about plagiarism. It's not know, but it is KNOW. Know about plagiarism means you should be aware. You talk to your seniors or your colleagues or your supervisor, or you visit your library and ask them what is plagiarism and whether I am doing this. If you have any question, you ask for help, rather than you after getting caught you making some excuses. Better to ask help if there is any confusion. That is an important step that we have to take. Read and take proper notes of content and source. Use right tools, databases, citation style and software. Citation, like for example, you can use several tools like Zotero, Mendeley for citation reference management. And there is a lot of good software that are available where for note taking also a lot of software are available on these days. So you can make use of them and prepare your notes so that you can tomorrow you can extract from the ideas from the source. So one of the ways like indicate your notes which idea are taken from source, indicate which are your own insights, thought, ideas. So what I suggest to my students now, like when you are reading something, and if it is your if you are making notes, if you are writing in your own word, put O as a symbol, or you can make any symbol. Puts a symbol before starting the paragraph. O means it is your own notes in your own words. If you're writing as it is from the document, then put Q, as because it's a quote. You are taking as it is from your document and from the document which you read. So that tomorrow if you are writing taking some hints from your notes, then you will be able to recognize which are your own words, which are your own which are the quotations, or which are the text which are directly copied from there. So such kind of practices you can follow, so that tomorrow you do not have trouble. In the case of images, we have to be more a little bit more. We have to be like this one. We have to try that. If you find some image which is interesting, and you want to include it in your thesis or in your research paper, then you create your own, recreate that image with your own software, rather than just copying. Because if you the images, when it comes to images, the copyright concept comes. So for example, for many of the publishers, if you are copying somebody else's image and if you want to use it, rather you are citing, then also you have to take permission from the original publisher that you want to reuse that image. But if you redraw that image, then you can just cite it and use that image. So always create your own graphics rather than using somebody else's figures or graphics, so that you do not have to take permission, but don't forget that you have to cite it. Then there are some 3 ways that you can avoid plagiarism. First is that is called quoting. So quotations means using double quotes. We all know how to do quotes, like with the double inverted commas, we put the content which we want to copy and put it. Why we use quotations? When in the case where we think that if we paraphrase it, the meaning will change, and the flow of the flow of the manuscript will also change if we paraphrase it. Then sometimes also we think that the quotation will be more suitable for the reader, so we use quotations. So quotation, don't use quotation for avoiding plagiarism, but to make your document more readable, you use quotations. So the benefit of using quotation is that this will not count as a plagiarism because you are using as it is verbatim the text from other documents. Next is that is called paraphrasing, rephrasing words of an author, putting his or her thoughts in your own words. That is important. Like paraphrasing means what? You are writing the thoughts that the previous author has expressed, and you are writing it in your own words. That is called paraphrasing. So paraphrasing is important tool to avoid plagiarism. But what we have to remember that always we have to cite. If we are paraphrasing also, then also we have to cite whose idea it is. Then summarizing is another tool that we can use. So that involves putting main idea of one or several writers in your own words without words along with main points. So the best way to write is always that look away from source while writing. अभी क्या होता है that you open a PDF or something and you read it and then you write the content in your article. So don't do that. Always read it and then close that source or hide that source and then try to write in your own words. So in that way, what will happen that it will be a good paraphrase. And always there will be chances that you will not use the original author's words. So this is one tactic that people follow to paraphrase. Sometimes using content in common knowledge domains, such as which is very general in knowledge, that do not, for example, definitions that do not require citations. If the information is widely accessible or commonly known, for example, Indian population, first president of India, or the information or knowledge that is known by a lot of people, and it is found in general reference resources such as dictionary or encyclopedia. And if you are unclear whether you should cite or not, then in that case, you should cite it. Another way to avoid plagiarism is using anti-plagiarism software. With the help of that, you can identify unintentional plagiarism. So the best way to avoid plagiarism is to cite, and cite. Always cite and the correct sources, correct with proper attribution. Then the next is the concept of detection of plagiarism. This is a new thing which we have seen in last 10 years, that there are a lot of this technology has come, and which made it easier to track down and identify plagiarism. Actually, what I say that machines cannot find plagiarism, cannot detect plagiarism. They can just show which are the texts which are similar to other texts that are available in their database. It is only the experts who can identify plagiarism. For example, for my colleagues' research work, I can easily tell whether it is his work or not. For my research scholars' work as a faculty, I can easily determine whether it is plagiarized or not. So I do not need any software. I do not need anything, any software or any technology to identify, to detect whether the work is plagiarized or not. Just in one read, I can tell whether it is plagiarized or not. As a subject expert, you can tell whether this idea is new idea or this idea has already been published by somebody else. So it is the expert who can easily detect the plagiarism. But it is not possible to have experts always, because, for example, if I am a funding agency and I have to give projects for say 200 crores, So I do not, I am not going to hire experts from each field, and it will be tedious also and time taking also to send them the papers and ask them to check whether it is plagiarized or not. So these technology and tools have come up which help the funding agencies, which help the editors, journal editors to detect any plagiarism. So it was difficult in print era. It is true, it was difficult in print era, but it was impossible. I would not say that. So technology made it easier to track down and identify prism. Search engines can easily detect. For example, if you just copy one paragraph and paste it on Google, it will tell you from which resource this anything which in your hand is plagiarized. Then there are a lot of full text journal articles in library database. Most of the articles are now available online with full text access. So either the library subscribe it or it is available. So the computer assisted detection allows vast collection of documents to be compared to each other. There are some free and commercial plagiarism detection services available, and expert guide reviewer may well recognize the sources and can easily detect plagiarism, as I was mentioning. So these are some of the software. Some are free and some are paid. Authenticate, Turnitin, Urkund, these are very popular. Urkund is freely available for most of the universities, state and central universities in India. It is basically purchased by Infringement Center, Ahmedabad, and it is made available to all the central and state universities who have MOU with Infringement. And but it is a paid service. And Turnitin is also nowadays available in most of the good institutions. Authenticate is the product of Turnitin, one of the products. And similarly, CopyLeaks and Grammarly also has plagiarism detection. The free this one, anti-plagiarism software has some issues. Like for example, how these software work. Basically, they have a central index in which they store the articles which are already published. It can be web resources, it can be journal articles, it can be a lot of other assignments submitted from different universities by different students. So all the better the similarity matching will be there, the bigger the database is. So usually these free black checker softwares, they will not have a big database, because the maintaining a database require a lot of efforts, require a lot of energy, and this energy needs resources like money. So the free ones, they do not, they check it to some extent, but they are not good at all. Good in the sense that it maybe there are chances that the copied portion will not be detected by the software. So the paid ones are better. That's why if you see in the paid one also, it depends on the central index. For example, in Urkund, if you see the similarity check, it will be different than Turnitin, because there is a difference in the central index or the central index where the similarity matching is being done. So you have to always make sure whether the what is your audience and what is your purpose of publication, and accordingly you have to choose the software. So till now, if you have any questions, I will just see if there are any questions. So there is one question, how to avoid self-plagiarism by Dr. Manjula. So this is actually a very important aspect. We have to see that, like I mentioned, for to avoid self-plagiarism, always see that treat your own paper as somebody else's paper. If you're treating somebody your own paper as somebody else's paper, there are chances that you will always cite it. So we take it granted. If it is my publication, then why I need to cite it? It is my own idea. It's not like that. Then tell me more about how it is plagiarism when I copy text and quote the author's name. See, when you copy, you do not have to copy as it is. This quoting the author's name is important, that you have to do in any way, but you have to change the words. You have to you have to write in your own words and quote and cite the author's name. Then it is not plagiarism. If you are just copying it and putting the author's name, it is plagiarism. This question was from Natraj BR. And then when I quote author's name in references, then their language comes in plagiarism. How? When I quote author's name in references, then this question I could not understand. Sir, if you could show how to use some of these software. See, using this software is not a big deal, right? Like for example, there will be one interface. This question was from Dr. Siddhi. There will be one interface. You upload the document, your manuscript. After some time, it will show you the analysis report. So I will show you analysis report of Urkund and Turnitin also. Just how, because recently my university subscription of Turnitin is over, but I will show you the how it actually looks like. The report actually looks like, and how to read this report. So this is one of the report of my one of my articles submitted by written by one of my student, and I had submitted it, and it says that 40% significance means 14% similarity is there, and it also shows what are the sources that are from where it is copied. The content is copied. So you see, mostly some of them are research papers, some of them are web pages, and then if it will show you the content of the paper and the places where it matches. So for example, here this one, this line is fully matched to this paper. This line is, this particular whole paragraph is fully matched with this paper. Similarly, this line is matched with so this is showing which portions. So in this way, it basically helps us to see what are the places which are actually unintentionally we have copied, and we have to change the language of these paragraphs. So once I have this report, and then what I can do, I can go to this portion in my manuscript and write these portions in my own words. Then when I write my papers in own words and then cite the author, it will not be detected. So for example, the growth and development of information and communication technology is playing vital role in the field of library information science and library automation in particular. This is basically one statement, and this is this paper has been cited, but this is copied. So we have to rewrite it. We have to paraphrase this content. Similarly, this line is copied, and luckily in the figure part or the description part, the results part, the student has not copied anything, but in the introduction and the review part, the student has copied some portion. So we have to improve the manuscript by paraphrasing this. Similarly, another report I will show you of Turnitin. So if you see, this is one report of Turnitin. So Turnitin, if you see, it says that the article has 17% overall similarity, and it also shows that it has ethnic characters and ethnic words and ethnic characters, and these are the sources from where and how much is copied. So from Taylor and Francis online, less than 1%, Emerald Insight less than 1%, like that. And then for individual source, we can see the whole in the paper where the portions are and what are the exclusions. Search repository none, bibliography and quotes were excluded, and a source none. And then in the text, it will show like trend analysis, topic modeling, from which document we have taken. This another paper manuscript we were working, and how the contents are copied. So information by applying text mining, from this resource 31, from this resource 31, resource 63. This 63 number means that it is basically the 63 source name. So for example, here aclweb.com. So this is the PDF. No, actually on the original, on their own website, you can just directly click on this one, the similarity part, and it will show you which document, from which document it is copied. Rather than for PDF, we have to match the numbers. Like for this case, it is from 2, it is matched like that. The second document in the above list, matched list. So I guess it is clear. Then the next question is from H. Lal Horaitulwanga. Sorry if I mispronounce. In writing research paper, especially in the introduction part, can I copy from other papers if I cited properly in the references? No. As I answered that, you cannot copy anything. You cannot copy anything. Just remember these words. If you want to put something in the introduction section, somebody else's ideas, work, write in your own words and cite it. That is the only way we have. Then how to detect plagiarism in our research paper? You upload it in some using some software like Urkund. You take help of your library staff. If you are in a private university that university must have purchased Turnitin or something, or if you are in some government universities like Central University, State University, you can go to your library and ask them like how to, I want to check the plagiarism for this manuscript. They will help you. If possible, give some idea on reference management during my writing a manuscript, so that the reference number should remain undisturbed during adding or subtraction the text. So this will require a full lecture. You can go through internet, Sailesh Kumar. You can visit reference management software. There are several reference management software available. Some of them are Zotero, Zotero. You just visit this, or you can also see for Mendeley. And these are free software and good software. You can go ahead and search for this, and you can find out in detail.
Hello,
Okay.
sir.
Hmm.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
Tell me.
Sir, if we have one data from the raw data, we present one or we publish one article, like something. Then after some time, it's the same raw data. We represent another study. Is it considered as plagiarism or it's not?
It's self-plagiarism. See, the difference that you have to maintain a difference in the sense that, see, for example, you have taken, you have collected data, and you have some 5 to 10 objectives while collecting the data. So 5 objectives you have taken in one paper, and another 5 objective in a different second paper, right? So for example, for first paper, if you have published 5 objectives using the same data, then in the second paper, you have to mention that this data is part of a paper which is already published in this journal, and but that paper had these objectives. But in this paper, we are trying to identify the another 5 objectives or 4 objectives, the purpose, how the purpose of the previous paper and this paper differs. And there should be a substantial difference, not a minute difference between the previous paper and this paper. If there is a minute difference, then it is self-plagiarism. And if there is a substantial difference, this difference should be substantial in nature so that it can form a basis for a new paper. Then in the second paper, you have to cite the previous paper. You have to inform the reader that this is actually some part of this study is published earlier in this journal, by these authors, and what was the objective of the previous study and what is the objective of the present study, and how it differs. You have to make justification. Am I clear, Shankar?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. One more doubt, sir. If we are doing similar study in other setting, while presenting that result, for example, if we are say that's a percentage of this much, that one if we take 10% of the people have this disease, like that sentence is considered it as a plagiarism, or is only result part only?
See, the plagiarism, everywhere it checks, है ना? For similarity matching, everywhere it checks. Now, how to avoid it? The thing is that you have to change the way you are reporting the results. You cannot write it the same way which you have written in the previous paper. You have to change the way you are writing. And sometimes people say that even the name of author, it is showing similarity, and the softwares are not good. Not like that. It checks whether a considerable amount of content is matching or not. Just matching a particular one or two words will not show. It will not show as a similarity. Matching, like it's a match. When there is a considerable amount of paper at different location, at different locations, or continuously some 10-15 words you have copied, then it will show all the occurrence of that particular document in your manuscript. Okay, so you have to see how to report your results also. But sometimes what happens, for example, you are reporting chi-square test result. So if you are following APA manual, the way it is written is same. We conducted a chi-square test to identify this and found chi-square is under bracket. You put the level of significance, degree of freedom, and then the p-value. And then they said that we found a significant association between the two variables. So in that case, there will be a match, but that match will be very less than 10%. So you don't have to worry about that. So what are the portions which we have to think? The core areas, like the abstract, there should be no match. The result section, the discussion section, the conclusion section, the recommendation section, it should be your own, completely your own. In review, etc., there is a slight match will be there. For example, if I'm writing somebody else's work, and there are chances that however the way I paraphrase, there will be chances that some 2 or 3 words will be always there. So that will come under the less than 10% criteria. So that is acceptable. But always for review also, I have seen people like they say that they just copy some portion from the abstract of the other paper and cite it. In that way, it will be fully matched. Just now I showed you, in the Orkund one. If you just copy it, the portion, even this is a review section. My student, he has done, and it just directly copied from the abstract or something, and it is matching. You have to rewrite it in your own words. And how you can learn it? Read good papers. Read some good papers, you will have idea how to write without plagiarizing. Okay, shall we move forward? Okay. Okay, so next is copyright. Copyright is basically a kind of intellectual property, right? Intellectual property means like we own other kind of property, like land or some car, or these are some properties which are you can touch them. But some intellectual property is some kind of property which it is not tangible. You cannot see it, you cannot touch it, but it is basically in the level of idea plane. So copyright is basically a right given by the law to creators of literary, dramatic, musical, and artistic works, and producers of cinematograph films and sound recordings. In fact, it is a bundle of rights, including inter alia rights of reproduction, communication to the public, adaptation, and translation of the work. So this is one very good document released by Government of India, and you can visit this. There is a handbook on copyright. So if you have any confusion, you can visit this website. So in short, what we can say that copyright laws are meant to encourage sharing of information. So there like, if, so for example, if I have some idea which will be helpful for other people, but if I share it, people will misuse it. People will use it as and to gain power, to gain money. So in that sense, I will not share it. But if some law gives me some kind of encouragement that if you share this, you will have the right of that particular document. If you share your knowledge, you will have the full right over that knowledge. It will be known by your name. You have the right to sell it. You can earn money out of it. Then there are more chances that I will release that information to public. So that is why the copyright laws are meant to encourage sharing of information. So it does not apply to ideas or thoughts, but the moment you write down or record an original work, copyright law protect it. So if I have something in my mind or idea or thoughts, then copyright will not work. But I have to write it down. I have to record some original work. Then the copyright law will be applicable. So Indian Copyright Act, we will take the consideration of Indian Copyright Act 1957 to understand the copyright in the sense of the local sense. So copyright is a form of protection given to authors, creators of original works. This property right can be sold or transferred to others. That's what you do. When you publish your article in some journals, say for example, Elsevier or Taylor Francis, you have to sign a document called Copyright Transfer Agreement. So as author, what you do, you are transferring the copyright to the publisher for the sake of publishing your article. In return, what you are getting, the publisher is publishing your article. And what you are giving to the author, to the publisher, you are giving the copyright. But you will have the moral rights associated with it. You are just transferring the copyright, but the moral right. What is moral right? Moral right means the name that will be always associated with that document will be yours. Even the, for example, if you have transferred the copyright, it's not that Elsevier can use that document without your name, saying that it is their document. Never. You will always have the moral rights of your document, but the other rights like distribution, like transfer, like maintain, selling, these all rights you are giving to the publisher. So it is just like a property that can be sold or transferred to others, and it is exclusive right of the copyright holder. So you cannot share copyright with others unless until you transfer it, unless until you write an agreement to share the copyright. So it is a right to copy or reproduce the work for which the author has got the copyright, and it is right to do or authorize others to do certain act. And it is a product of human skill and his mental capacity to do something creative usually. So what is protected? Following artworks are protected under copyright: artistic, literary, musical, cinematographic, films, sound recordings. These are all the works which can be copyrighted. What cannot be copyrighted? Like facts, ideas, systems, or methods of operation. You cannot copyright. So for this, you have other kind of IPR. For example, for methods of operation, there is a IPR called trade secret. So like for systems, there is an IPR called patents. So there are different types of intellectual property rights. That is again a different full-fledged lecture is required on all types of intellectual property rights. We are just concerned about one type of intellectual property right, that is called copyright. So who is an author? Literary and dramatic work, author of the work. Artistic work, the artist. Musical work, the composer. Photography, the photographer. Cinematography, the producer. Computer program, the programmer. So like when we come to author, how author is defined for different type of works, this slide shows that. Then rights of copyright holder, right to reproduce. Whoever is having the copyright, they have right to reproduce, right to communicate to public, right to issue new copies of the work, right to have a copyright for fixed terms, right to assign copyrights, right to seek legal remedy in case of infringement. Infringement means when somebody breaks the copyright, that is called infringement. Or right to sue means you can go to court also. A right to grant license. So for example, if you have bought a book, you have bought the book for your personal use. It is not that you have purchased the copyright of that book. That's why if you see, if you have a book, always there will be copyright of the publisher. Always if you see, open the title page, there will be always written copyright by the publisher. So even you have purchased the book, it doesn't mean that you own the copyright. Unlike property. In property, what happens? If you purchase a car, it is your car. If you purchase a property, it is your property, right? You can use it, you can do whatever you want. But here, if you purchase a book, if you purchase an article, if you purchase a CD, if you purchase a painting, it is not the copyright which you have purchased. It is just that product you have purchased. So for example, if you have purchased a CD, you cannot play it in a public. If you read the instructions properly, on the back side it is written that this purchase does not involve that you will play it in public. In a public gathering, you cannot play it. So for example, for playing in a stadium, the stadium people, organizers have to pay royalty to the actual publisher, or they have to take permission to play that CD to the public. So these are some of the ways to earn money and to make people, encourage people so that they create good content. The copyright laws came. So in case of artistic, dramatic and literary works, musical work, the term of copyright is lifetime of the author plus 60 years. So after that, the copyright is actually over and the document comes in public domain. Public domain means it is available to public for general use. For example, the books written by Mahatma Gandhi are now copyright free, which means that's why you see My Experiment with Truth book written by Mahatma Gandhi is published by, I think, more than 100 publishers, because it is copyright free. Anybody can, even I can download from internet, or I can copy from some book and print it on as a separate book and sell it, because it is copyright free. So we have to wait for the lifetime of the author plus 60 years especially for literary, dramatic, musical and artistic works. For cinematographic, films, sound records, government work, public undertakings, international agencies, photographs, we have to wait for 60 years since the publication of the particular product. So after 60 years, we can use it. So that what happened with Mickey Mouse. So when Mickey Mouse 60 years was going to happen, they changed their look and feel. So that if somebody takes the previous version, they won't get much benefit because they changed it after some 60 years. So registration of copyright. Copyright is not compulsory. Registration is not compulsory. Even just the moment it is produced or published, basically you get the copyright. So you don't have to register it to somebody that you want to get copyright. Unlike patents, in patents you have to get registration. So there were several amendments to the Copyright Act in 1957, 58, January, then 83, 84, 92, 94, 99, 2012. So like most of the amendment were to protect music and film industry, and so one important amendment was made for physically disabled people to protect the interest of the physically disabled peoples and the concerns of physically disabled people. So for that sense, that for physically disabled people, they can use some software, etc., to read. If they are using some software to read content of a particular book, then they are not infringing copyright as per the amendment of 2012. So I'm not going in much detail on this. Then what are the remedies for copyright infringement? So if there is a infringement, if there is a break of law, break of copyright, then what kind of remedies are available? There are two types of remedies: civil and criminal. In civil remedies, you can have injunctions, means warning can be issued. You can get the damages and delivery of infringing copy. You can get the delivery of infringing copy, damages for conversion. If there is some damage, that also you can claim. Then jurisdiction in district court. Usually the civil jurisdictions are in district court. For criminal offenses, if done knowingly, imprisonment for 6 months to 3 years, and fine from 50,000 to 2 lakh rupees, and seizures of infringing copies. This we have seen if there are some infringement, then these are some of the criminal proceedings that can happen. So, and then there is the concept of fair use. Fair use means ethical use of information. It means there are some exceptions to copyright where you can use copyrighted material for the purpose for what is your purpose, for the purpose of educational purposes, and that will come under fair use clause. So we will see what are the fair use clause. Before going that, we will understand what is public domain. Public domain means anything in the public domain is usable by anyone in any way that they want. No one owns it. As I mentioned, like after death of the author plus 60 years, the literary documents are now in public domain, means anybody can use it. It is for public. So what is fair use? Use of material for criticism, comments, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. So if you are using for these contexts, then you can use it without any infringement. That is under fair use. So there are some limitations applied. This includes consideration of the purpose, nature, amount, and substantiality, and the effect of the use on potential value of work. This we will discuss in detail. For example, if in the classroom, if I use some book, I am not infringing the copyright. In a classroom setting. And for example, if I am using for a news reporting, then also I do not have to take permission, or it is under copyright. It is under fair use. Or if you are quoting some protected work, small quotations with citations, you can use. So in this image I have taken from this address image, it is shown that what is a weaker case for fair use and what is strong case for fair use. So there are 4 factors which are determined: purpose, amount, and substantiality, nature, and effect of your use on market. So purpose and character of use. If it is for non-profit, educational, and transformative purpose, then it is a strong case for fair use. But if you are using it for commercial value or repetitive in nature, then it is weaker case. It does not come under fair use. Similarly, amount and substantiality of work use. Kitna work you are taking. If you are taking larger portion of the work and even the heart of work, then it is weak case. Even if you are using for non-educational or non-profit or educational purpose also. So for example, I cannot give my students ki ye book le jao and you xerox it. That is not under fair use, even in classroom settings, because the whole larger portion of the document I am giving to my students free of cost. Smaller portion, unsubstantial part is a strong case for fair use. Similarly, the nature of copyrighted, the work which I am sharing, If the work is unpublished, then there is weaker case. If it is a creative work, then it is weaker case. And if it is published and it is factual, then it's strong case for fair use. Similarly, effect of your use on the market. What will be the effect if I use it? Whether it will hamper the income of the copyright holder? If it is yes, then it is weaker case. And if it does not impact the creator's income, then it is stronger case. For example, I will discuss in just 1 minute. In the lockdown, what happens? Many librarians, they started sharing the newspaper PDFs in WhatsApp groups. So at that time in my field, some WhatsApp groups, there was discussion whether it is copyright, whether it comes under fair use or not. So there were two groups of people, librarians. One group of librarians was saying that it comes under fair use because we are helping the users to get to know about the upcoming information or the recent information because they do not have the access to the newspapers. Other group was saying that no, actually it does not come under fair use because it is hampering the income of the actual copyright holder, the newspaper. Because if everybody gets the PDF on their WhatsApp, who will purchase the newspaper? So it will hamper the income of the creator. And in this way, what will happen that the creators will be demotivated and they will not publish good reports or good newspapers. And after some times, the newspapers will not be available. So in this way, we have to determine on these 4 factors what comes under fair use. So a publisher copyright policy also we should be aware. I'm not going in detail, but I would just like to mention that there is a kind of open licenses available these days. So that is called copyleft. Copyleft means it's not fully copyright protected, but some portion of the copyright is open. So like open licenses are available, each is defined by string and symbols. So this means no derivatives. This means attributions, share alike. This is no commercial use, and this is by attribution. These are symbols which are available. So you have variations of Creative Commons licenses. So CC0 means no right reserves. If you're releasing a document under CC0. So for example, if I release this slide under CC0 license, means I do not reserve any right. You can use any way. Basically, it is equivalent to public domain. But if I say CC by means attribution, means you can use the content, but always you have to attribute the original. You have to always attribute the original creator. If I say CC by SA, share alike, then it means that you can use the resource, source, or whatever content by me, but you have to give the attribution as well as you have to share the final product in a same license, in which license I have released. That is share alike. Then no derivatives means you cannot create new derivatives out of it. You can use it, attribute me, but you cannot derive new, you cannot make changes to it. Then NC means no commercial use. You cannot make commercial use of it. You can use the copyright free, but you cannot commercially use it. Then this one CC by NC and ND means no commercial use and no derivatives, and you have to give attributes. So these are some of the types of variations of Creative Commons licenses, which means that it is basically kind of open licenses where you are allowing people to use your content, but with some slight restrictions. Now here the one slide is there to the copyright versus infringement versus plagiarism. So using another's copyright protected work without permission is copyright infringement. Using another's work without proper citation or credit is plagiarism. So basically plagiarism is more ethical and copyright is more legal. So subject matter, copyright protected works, all works. This is all works. Plagiarism, even for idea also plagiarism can be there. Then issues, failure to get permission, failure to give credit, passing of another work as your own, enforcement through courts initiated by copyright owner, school, professional institutions, ethics panel, like that. Penalty, criminal or civil. In plagiarism, you have academic or ethical, more moral or more kind of moral penalty will be there. Then period, for as long as copyright lasts, जो भी terms दी हैं, and then for plagiarism, perpetual. And exceptions are there for copyright, fair use and free use, and for plagiarism, unknown author, but you must indicate such fact. So if there are unknown author, you should say that it is anonymous. So copyright infringement means no permissions, plagiarism means no reference. So many acts of plagiarism are also copyright infringement and vice versa, like photocopying a whole journal and distributing it to students while giving credit to the authors is copyright infringement. Sharing a collection of poetry from the 1700 without citing the author is plagiarism. And there is chances that you have both copyright infringement as well as plagiarism, means paraphrasing large portion of a textbook without crediting the author. So once one of my acquaintance called me and asked that how much I can copy from a book. So I said, no, you cannot copy from a book. Then the next is that is patent. I'm not going much in detail. Patent is an exclusive right granted for an invention, which is the product of a process that provides new way of doing something, and it offers new technical solution to a problem. And patent provides protection for the invention to the owner of the patent and is limited to, in India, generally 20 years. And it provides incentives to individuals by offering them recognition for their creativity and material reward. My patent is another kind of intellectual property. So for details, you can visit this website. What can be patented? Anything that is original that can be patented. Invention eligible for patenting must be useful. That is another criteria. Whatever you want to have patented, it should be useful also. And it should not be obvious or ordinary skill in the field which the patent pertains. And the invention must be able to reproduce by somebody of average skill with the technology involved. What cannot be patented? Discovery of any living things, non-living substance occurring in nature. Presentation of information you cannot patent. Method of agriculture, horticulture. Any process of medical, surgical, diagnostic, therapeutic, or other treatment of human beings. Plants and animals in whole or any part other thereof other than microorganism, but including seeds, varieties, and species, and essentially biological processes for production and propagation of plants and animals cannot be patented. No patent shall be granted in respect of an invention relating to atomic energy failing with subsection. तो ये कुछ इन्होंने एक्सेप्शंस डाले कि क्या नहीं. नेक्स्ट जो क्वेश्चन आता है कि आप पेटेंट, जैसे आपको पहले पता करना होगा कि whether there is a already existing patent on that subject or not. So for that you need patent searching. So I have listed some websites here. You can visit them, and here you can search for whether the particular area or you can put some title or something to search whether already people have something on that field or not. Rather than just directly going to for registration, you have to first be assured whether whether your invention is new or not. So for that you can use this website, INPASS, Indian Patent Advanced Search System, a public search database of patents filed in India. And these are the services that are available. Then there is a website from WIPO, that is World Intellectual Property Organization, that is called Patent Scope. Here also you can search the 4.0 million published patent, 94 million published patents. So these are some of the databases where you can search. And these are the references for my slide. And whatever views I have mentioned in this presentation are limited to my opinion, and it has no relation with my employer. Thank you. Any questions you have? Sir, does the peanut seller has copyright over? Does the peanut seller has copyright over Kacha Badam song and stop people using it? Yes, he is the creator. He has the right. No, see, for the case of Natraj, are you still there? I think in the case of songs, your question is little ambiguous. Stop people using it means people listening it or people playing it. So for playing, you should have purchased the song. For singing, you do not need permission. That is the case with any song. Music, what happened, like people said that if you do not give this exception, if I sing somebody else's songs, they will claim copyright over it. So that is not like. So for example, the remix, people sing the song of others, no? That is not copyright violation. So what you do, if you like a particular song, you sing it by yourself and record it. So you have the copyright of that song with you.
Sir, the text is copyright, no? I am not talking the music. I have taken the Kacha Badam song from the peanut seller who wrote it for the first time. I took the text from that. Then I put my own music and I started singing.
Yes, you can do it.
I can do it. Huh?
Yes,
because
yes.
Text I am copying.
But you have to give credit to the Kacha Badam's original song creator.
Okay.
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 And
right.
you can sing it and record it.
Okay.
You do not have to take permission. But for the same song which he has recorded, and you cannot play it in public. Like for example, on YouTube, if you put this song as a background, YouTube would say that it is infringement of copyright.
No, you said that I can take the text and I can put my music and
you can put
anywhere
your music with credit to the original creator.
And I can put it in YouTube now.
And you can put it on YouTube, yes.
Text from so and so person, music by myself, and I can put it. Oh,
you can put it, yes. While publishing a contributed article in a book form, the publication cell of our college just print the same in a book form, giving ISBN number and putting the symbol of copyright. Is it the right process book form, or is that kind of book become copy? Yes, for copyright, you do not have to register it anywhere, Dharmendra Baroji. You do not have to register it. Just put a copyright symbol and the original copyright holder, so that tomorrow if I want to take the purchase the copyright for this book, I should be able to contact the person too. I should be able to know who is the copyright holder. If I want to say, for example, if I want to copy some images, I want to use some images in my research work, I should be able to find out who is the copyright holder. So for that, just publish the name of the copyright holder, so that tomorrow if somebody wants to contact the original copyright holder, they would be able to. And that is the purpose, so that tomorrow if I want to pay you something for this book, so to purchase the copyright, I would be able to find you, your name or your organization name. So your question is like publication cell, it depends who will be the copyright owner. It is a little tricky thing. For example, if I am working for BBAU and I publish a book, whether I will be the copyright owner or BBAU will be, it depends on the contract between me and BBAU. So if somebody working in IBM develops a software, whether the person who developed the software will be the copyright owner or the IBM will be the copyright owner who is paying for that person to sit and develop the code, it depends on the contract between the person and the IBM, the employer. So this is another aspect that you have to find out what is the who will be the copyright owner. Can we use other images, pic, videos for teaching purpose? Yes, you can use, but you have to see whether it should not be the large portion. It should be a small part you can use, not the whole picture, a whole movie you cannot play for teaching purpose, or whole song you cannot play for teaching purpose. It should not hamper the think that it should not hamper the income of the original creator. Very good presentation. Yes, I am there. Okay. Any other questions? Any other question you have?
Thank you so much for your wonderful session. It was very informative and practical oriented, because many people are asking their practical situations, what is happening around them, as because nowadays it's a very copyright and this patent has been a very critical issue, and many people are asking. Some people are asking about this song that Peanut Seller has been now and viral on the
Yes,
YouTube.
it is very interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting in the
but,
sense that
yeah, but recently he has filed a case that he is not getting a royalty for that. So
yes,
many companies had paid the royalty for that because he is the creator. If
yes,
you will, if you are using it as a commercial for the commercial purpose,
yes,
if you are earning money from that song, so you must pay the royalty for
yes.
the creator.
I am telling you one interesting case. One monkey clicked a photograph of himself, a
Okay.
selfie.
Okay.
So who will be the copyright owner? Whether the owner of the monkey or the owner of the camera company,
Yes, yes.
or the monkey will be the copyright holder. That is a typical case. You search on internet, you'll get it.
Yes, yes, yes. So thank you so much, sir, for exploring many new things, which perhaps many of them are not, aware about these technical.
Thank you
So I hope,
for calling me.
Yeah, it's
Thank
Also,
you,
I am-
thank you, thank you, Binish sir.
I'm
for
thankful to Professor R.K. Shukla,
Thank you.
Dr.
Thank
S.K.
you.
Singh,
Yes, yes.
and Dr. Dharmendra Yadav, all of you, and
Thank
STI
you so much,
Institute,
sir, coming on this
Amiruddaula
platform
College.
and delivering the very, very nice lecture, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And thanks to all the participants for being with us. So we will meet tomorrow.
Thank
you everyone, sir. Thanks, sir.
Thank you all.
सर तब कल कितने बजे सर कल लास्ट डे प्रोग्राम का
No, day after tomorrow will be last.
ओके वो भी इवनिंग में प्रोग्राम होगा और हमारा
Yeah.
हमारी प्रेजेंटी कहाँ देना पड़ती सर प्रेजेंटी नहीं सर
No. We are.
It's online, sir. Your presentation is online. You don't need to worry.
बहुत शुक्रिया
your
attendance is recorded automatically, sir. You don't need to worry, sir. Okay, sir.
ओके साहब बहुत शुक्रिया
Thank you so much. Thanks to all the participants. Thanks to our esteemed resource person. Thanks to all, and we will meet tomorrow. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.